I know this is late, but these are the top 5 book covers from books I read in 2017. Welcome back to Book Your Imagination. My name is Anne. 2017 is long gone, and I know I'm really late with this video, but I wanted to bring you the top 5 book covers from the books I read in 2017. Now, there were plenty of beautiful book covers in 2017, but I'm not focusing on the beautiful book covers. These are book covers that encapsulated the story, and I think that is really difficult to do. These book covers actually tell you the story, even though you're not going to know it until after you finish reading the book. So here are my top 5 book covers from 2017. And number 5 is Furthermore by Tahereh Mafi. Now this is a beautiful book cover in its own right, but here's how it visually represents the story. Furthermore is the story of Alice, who has no color, living in a world that is bursting with color, that values color. So she's kind of an oddity. So in the center of this image, we have a white, colorless Alice, and she is surrounded by a riot of color. There are also visual clues to the story here, like in the upper left corner, we have an image of Oliver. He takes her to Furthermore. In the lower right corner is the paper fox. In the upper right corner is a tape measure. So these images are really just a beautiful representation of the story of Furthermore. And number 4 is Girl in the Blue Coat by Monica Hesse. Now this book cover is not beautiful at all, but it does draw you into the mystery of the story. Prominent in this book cover is the film reel, so you know that film is an important component of it. The images are black and white, or they're kind of faded, so it gives you a little bit of a depressed feeling. So you know this is not going to be a happy story. But most prominent is the picture of the feet of the girl running. Who is this girl? I mean, she's not even in the title, Girl in the Blue Coat. What is she running from, and why is she running? So even without knowing anything about the story, this cover makes you want to ask questions. This is historical fiction set in 1943 in Amsterdam, after the Germans have invaded and they've started deporting the Jews. Our protagonist, Hanneke, has been asked to find a Jewish girl who was in hiding and then vanished without a trace. So knowing just that much about the story, and then you look at this cover, I think it's very compelling. And then after you read the story and come back to this cover, it's even more profound. And number 3 is Scythe by Neal Shusterman. This cover is so beautiful, and it is so simple. I actually read this book because of this book cover. You clearly get executioner from it, from the red in the cover to that wicked scythe he's holding, but you also get a sense of mystery and elegance. So here's how the cover relates to the story. Death has been conquered, so you can now live forever, but that poses a population control issue. So the scythedom was created to randomly kill people. The elegance in this image represents the reverence that is given to the scythes in this story. The hidden face represents the mystery and the fear surrounding the scythes. And number 2 is Some Kind of Happiness by Claire Legrand. This is the story of 11-year-old Finley, who has created a fantasy world in an imaginary forest called Everwood. When she goes to her grandparents for the summer, the woods behind their house look like Everwood, and Finley believes her fantasy world is real. Now this is not a fantasy story, so that is part of the beauty of this cover. We have the house with the tiny people in the distance and the car. They are going somewhere. The bottom half of the cover is the forest, and at the bottom of the picture is the crown, the kingdom of Everwood. In the middle, we have the yard with one tiny person all alone, Finley. She feels tiny, alone, and overwhelmed in this world and separate from everyone else. Now, she could be looking either at the house and everyone there or back at the forest, and this represents her dilemma, fantasy or reality. And at number 1 is Dark Matter by Blake Crouch. I've seen several versions of this cover, but this is the one that I think represents the story the best. Jason Dessen is an ordinary college physics professor. He has a wife and a teenage son. Then he is kidnapped and drugged, and when he wakes up, he finds out that he is a celebrated genius, but he's never been married and he doesn't have a son. So he is determined to find his way back to his old life. Now, you don't get any of that from looking at this book cover, but after you read the story, this book cover tells you the story. It is so simple and so on point. So those are my top 5 book covers from the books I read in 2017. As always, this is #JMO, just my opinion. If you like what you see in here, please consider subscribing to my channel, give it a thumbs up, and leave me a comment below. Thank you for watching.